Welcome back to Three Swords Productions. Tonight, we have a banger for you, and I know we say that every video because it's always true, but tonight is special. I brought back starter deck Big Mom to fight one of the strongest decks in the meta for the past 3 sets. We've got Big Mom versus Zoro. You ready to get started?
Well, let's go for it.
All right, I am on the Big Mom side again, and I am just loving this deck. It feels so good. And we have Nathan piloting Zoro tonight. So, Nathan, when you sit down across from a leader that you probably haven't read before, what are your thoughts going into the match?
Okay, well, first off, it's yellow. So we know right off the bat that yellow only has so many cards because they're only set 3 cards. So I'm going to assume that most of this deck looks exactly the same as the yellow category deck. I can't imagine anything should be too different there. Might be a couple odd choices, maybe a couple numbers a little bit off, but still expect the 7-drop, 8-drop, 10-drop package that we're used to. That's probably the way they're going to win most every game because those cards are quite good. So we're still going to play the same way like we would against Katakuri. They probably just won't be quite as easy to attack back on our 5Ks and with a 7K ability. You saw me go Ezo here, add Whitebeard Pirates, and we're going to play out the Whitebeard Pirates and see if we can keep chaining this out here or what we find. Only card we can find here for this is the 5-drop Marco.
And the bomb here that I can't interact with is pretty solid, so you know it's gonna waste. I'm gonna have to attack up on that, make my attack 6K instead of just attacking your leader, which is 5K. So I mean, it doesn't feel good as an attack, and of course you can just pitch a Whitebeard or an event and just get out of it. So
yep.
It's a good pickup from the Whitebeard Pirates there. I like it, and I'm gonna swing for 5. I do take a life from you, and we're gonna play Sparrow down now. I'm hopeful that Sparrow on the next turn is going to be able to swing and net me one of my top end cards because I'm not currently holding any of them.
Yeah.
We see Zoro attack for 5 here.
Yeah, I took life there. I didn't really have a great 1-drop to play out this turn, and that was something that I thought I would like. And I did find Ezo off the life, so it did pay off for that exact reason.
We're going to see a 1K counter out with Shirahoshi and then play Zoro, swing for 5.
Yeah, the swing here is interesting. I liked it a lot because it either forces you to equip a lot of Dawn to kill the Zoro, which makes that you're not playing something out to the board this turn, or it means that you're going to do some small attacks and be able to get out of them, and I've gotten another card out of your hand at the same time that you're trying to get cards out of my hand.
Absolutely. We see Ezo come down, add Whitebeard to hand. This one's going to be Ever Newgate, and that's going to mean that we're quite aggressive on curve and when well defended at the end of the game, so pretty nice already. We'll see a pass back. The Zoro did actually connect, so, you know, Big Mom is now down to 4. Going to 5 Dawn, though. And, you know, Nathan requested a lot of Dawn equipped to attack the Zoro down if we want to connect with it. Let's see if Big Mom has the same idea in mind. We are looking at a couple 4-drops in hand that are pretty powerful, and a Strucin effect if we want to go for that to take out the Ezos, but unfortunately they're just not as strong as Buggy, so not as an appealing of an option.
Yeah, it looks like you don't have another Paris Sparrow, which is also quite good. So it's either you're going to be playing out something like the Cracker there and 2 attacks, or you equip a lot of Dawn like you think the Zoro should die for.
And Paris Sparrow attacks for 5. Let's see. We just want cards out of hand at this point. We're trying to soften him up so that, you know, going into that Newgate turn, we're not looking at, you know, 7 or 8 cards in hand. We're trying to get him down to maybe like 4 or 5. And we go 6K across with Big Mom on the Zoro. It's going to net a 2K, so we've got Marco out of his hand. Now we got Jozu out of hand. And we're going to see Daifuku come down.
Yeah, what's the effect on Daifuku again?
So, Donix 1, when attacking, you can take the top or bottom of your own life, and then you can heal 1. Put a card from the top of your deck onto the top of your own life. So, that exchange actually drew a card from life and replaced it from the top of your deck, ultimately, you know, netting you 1 card in hand. So, it actually does draw 1 card every turn.
Yeah, so it's like that Sanji effect just on a 4 Dawn 5K, it looks like.
No, that's 100% correct, and it actually has some play with my leader ability as I am, you know, able to swing with the Daifuku first, and then I'm able to swing with my Linlin and potentially restack that top life there.
Sure.
So, you know, there is some play there, some small interactions. Zoro's going to come across for 6. I'm going to counter out with Charlotte Pudding, and Marco comes down to eat the other Searcher Pudding.
Yep.
And that is going to be it for the Zoro turn.
And the change here now is I'm not attacking with Zoro because it's going to be possible to have 3 attacks, and he's not really capped on the amount of Dawn he has. So no reason to expose it now. It would just very likely die. So we'll wait until we can add that and make it a bigger body in the future.
Now this turn I'm a little bit disappointed. This is the perfect turn for 7-drop to come down and kind of swing the board state. This is when I'm supposed to start playing 8-drops. But again, this is kind of why I played the Sparrow to begin with, so that I could, take a look at the top 3 cards of my deck and potentially pick up the top end. But we did unfortunately miss out on that, so we're not going to be able to play that. So instead, 1 Dawn goes on Daifuku. We swing. We are going to draw the extra card. Hopefully this can be a resource exchange. And we swing 6 on Zoro.
Yep, and it looks like 7 coming across. The wording on the Linlin there is that you have to be at, 3 life to be able to use the effect?
2, actually, it says 2 if you're at 2 or less.
Okay.
So it actually, you can always take a life, no matter what. Linlin, when she swings with 2 Dawn on her, you take the top or bottom card of your life, and you add that to your hand. Now, the other part of the ability says, if you're now at 2 or less life,
gotcha,
put a card from your hand on top of the life. So... Okay. It starts to really come into play when you have 3 life, because you take the 3rd life, go down to 2. Now she works, then you put that 3rd life back.
Okay.
So
so not doing the ability here because we are notably at 4 life, and then coming across a couple of times.
Right. Bit of awkwardness being at 4, but not going to complain with having more life, certainly. So 5K comes across. We're going to net another Ezo. We are in now that 4 to 6 card range from Zoro, so we're kind of where we want him to be. Dodging the new gate now. But our board quality is certainly worse. He played the Marco, and I was not able to follow up with, an 8K body. And I'm going to be feeling that for the next couple of turns as we just have 5K Daifuku instead.
Yeah. I think taking down a 2 life is fine with Zoro here. Obviously, there's things like 10-drop that'll definitely be harder later, but having Radical Beam in hand, having 4-drop Marco in hand, both warrant wanting to be at the 2 life. And we're going to play a little bit cleanup on the board. It's very possible that you can play some bigger bodies here in the future, but you didn't have 7-drop at least. So I'm going to just try and lessen the amount of attacks you're going to be able to do back, while also lowering your life just a little bit.
Yeah, so we missed out 7-drop. We're also not holding 8 at the moment. And that Marco swing was for 7. So we're down to 5 cards in hand. We're not going to want to save the Daifuku that much. So we are just going to take that. And Zoro comes across for 7 as well. And that's going to be on Sparrow, I believe. As Zoro smells, hey, we're down to 5 cards in hand. We're just countering out to protect our board. We're not establishing big threats on curve. I think it's time to clean up the board and go face. So Zoro swings on Sparrow for 7.
Yep, this is also a consideration of I have both 9-drops in hand currently. So still trying to figure out, is this going to be a game where these are going to be good, or will they be just Marco fodder in the future? And I think cleaning up the board here allows me that possibility in the future.
So you're going to see me counter out there for 8, and that is because the 2 cards that I pitch out are not really doing much on the table for the following turn. I'd rather just try and protect the Sparrow. But what I ultimately want is that he only has 1 more attacker left, and he's going to want to swing 6 or 7K with Zoro. I want that to go on Sparrow instead of my face, because if I'm at 4, that gives me plenty of time to see some triggers. Maybe I see Sparrow or Cracker, but also with this Sparrow trigger, I'm hoping to pick up an 8-drop. And then, that plus the 4 life that I have, I'm hoping to swing the board back in my favor. Unfortunately, it was 2 Sanjis and a Sparrow, so we're going to add Sparrow back to hand, and then on my turn, of course, play Pudding and add 10 drops. And we do have now the big drops, but unfortunately, it's right after the 4-cost blocker comes down, and that's going to hurt.
Yeah. That's the slight downside of going first in these yellow decks, is you're not getting a 10 Dawn first, so you have to wait that extra turn to be able to play that.
Right, yeah.
Not that you had it already. But.
No, I didn't have it, but that is an excellent point. Going first in this yellow deck definitely hurts the curve a little bit, especially if you miss on the 7-drop. Yep. That's kind of the advantage of going first, is being able to play 7 on curve. But if you don't have it, it kind of falls apart there. And Marco catches the block, and we're going to see a counter out with a Whitebeard card. It's probably going to be the new gate, as he's actually already has a dominant position on the board.
Yep.
And this is like the pivotal moment where, hey, maybe I lost my board last turn. Maybe I can reclaim it here. So we play Cracker and Sparrow, expecting our life to go basically down to either 1 this turn or 0. But I think Nathan might be a little bit too clever for that. So a Radical Beam pickup is pretty nice there, and we're going to see Zoro not really able to tackle the Sparrow and the Cracker. What will we do instead?
Well, I think we're going to go towards life this turn. We've been at least holding you off of your leader ability by keeping you at 4 life. But now I think we're going to give you the option next turn to probably turn it on. We're not going to kill you this turn, so we're going to try and set up for a turn. The the turn after type kill. Try and avoid brulees from life or thunderbolts that could possibly mess up what we got going on. And we'll see that probably in my form of attacks here. Also, just trying to decide, is 9-gate the correct play here? I don't think it is. I think I'm ahead on board, so I don't think I need to try and reclaim that. But it is interesting to say that I could commit this giant body.
Yeah, and this is a difficult decision because you're kind of, being at 2 life yourself and not a ton of cards in hand. It's one of those make or break moments where, if you go for life and you see the wrong triggers out of your opponent, that's a game loss. But if you go to life, they don't see much, and you're able to just withstand the next turn's attacks, you're in a much better position to win. So yeah, there's a lot of difficulty in this attack step. So we swing 7. That's going to come across, I believe, at face. So we're going to take that. Yep. No trigger. I'm gonna pick that up.
Yeah, trying to play around Thunderbolt. If he tries to kill one of my other characters, I can at least bring them back. The big ones, that is, the Marcos.
Right. I'm gonna take that again. No. Okay. Actually, we do see a Brûlé there now. That could actually turn the game around.
Brûlé does a lot of work here, I think.
Brûlé stops a lot of the aggression from happening, so we do have that now.
And then just trying to portion out what the rest of the attack should look like. I think I want to attack with these Izos. I have buggies in hand, which are going to want to come down. At least try and find some event to either something like a jet pistol to clear something out of the way.
Also caught a whiff of maybe 1 Machino, maybe 2 Machino in hand. That's going to be a lot of aggression. Also, as those surprise 3Ks are going to pop off with the Izos here.
Yeah, if you take life a bit too aggressively, I can try and really force it. I think it was just 1 Machino, but
okay. Well, 1 Machino there is going to be pretty good still. So Streusen's going to come down. They're not looking to take out the 1 cost in this matchup. Don't like that as much as in Law.
Yeah,
or
that's against Law.
Those are very early game. I will actually aggressively play the Streusen, but this is time for it to be a 2K, unfortunately.
Yep, and I'm happy with getting cards out of the hand. That's what we want to be doing here. And then I want to play with the buggy before I do any more attacks here. Try and figure out what event I could possibly find. Maybe it's a jet pistol, maybe it's a radical beam for later, so just trying to figure out what my Dawn should look like. But, classic...
Do you see the Magra in there?
Classic things of buggies sometimes. You just kind of whiff. Feels bad with the Zoro, but...
That's okay. I mean, you paid 1 Dawn for a 3K on the following turn and replace your Izo. Now, that's actually way more important than you think, because on the following turn, I'm not going to be able to spend my turn cleaning up your table here. I'm going to have to just go face because you replace that Izo with with the buggy. So, we are going to be a little bit more pressured for having you done that, than otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not as bad as it looks, even just whiffing. And of course, we see the second buggy come down. Definitely, adding an underscore to the emphasis that I just made here. And this time, we are certainly not missing. That is a plethora of options. We are seeing Radical Beam and Guard Point. And of course, the Radical Beam pickup is insanely powerful.
Yep.
And what I don't know is that there's another Radical Beam lurking in there. So, definitely not going to have enough power to get through. So, let's see what happens on Linlin's side. Now, we did pick up a 10-drop from the life. So that does feel kind of good. Actually, I think it was from the Parasparrow.
It was from the pudding.
From the pudding. That's what it was. Yeah, one of the searchers grabbed the 10-drop. And we also picked up 7-drop from the life. So it wasn't good on curve, but maybe it's good here.
Yep.
Feels not like it, because I think you just crate yourself, and we don't see that make much progress. So Parasparrow goes on the Zoro here for 5. Fortunately for me, you do take that, and we see Katakuri swing on Marco. Hey, if he took the Zoro, maybe he takes the Katakuri as well.
Yeah. And then seeing that that's the only 6K attack that can come across in the Marco, can at least save the Marco pretty easily here if the plan is to play 10-drop, which I think it is. And then try and keep myself just a little bit above life.
Right, and at the point where, Parasparrow took out the Zoro, just a little bit of a tester there, successful, and we get a Zoro fail, and we got one card out of your hand. At that moment, we are certainly looking a little bit different here. But when, the Marco is able to block, and we only have 2 characters left to attack with, it looks a lot worse for trying to go face. So at that point, we're just kind of pivoting towards, hey, the 10 Dawn is not going to be enough here. Let's try and use it on a 10-drop Linlin and just pray. Spray and pray. That's how we're doing.
We started this turn, and I was actually thinking maybe it was wrong for me to let the Zoro die, because you had so many attacks, it felt like it was correct. But looking back at this now, seeing this turn play again, it actually felt like it gave you some amount of safety that hey, he's letting his board die, so he won't be able to get out of anything.
Yeah, it kind of lured me into trying to swing on the Marco as well, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I didn't want to invest Dawn into the Marco swing. My Katakuri onto your Marco. So I pretty much knew it was gonna be an easy pitch out, but I am just trying to get you to like shake some cards.
Yeah.
But you weren't giving it to me. And yeah, you can absolutely just get by without your Zoro here. So I think that play was fine.
Okay. But yep, just trying to figure out, and it looks like a bunch of 7Ks is probably the correct way across the table. Hope my opponent doesn't find Brule's off life, things like that.
Right, because we're kind of looking, we're hoping for Thunderbolts, we're hoping for anything that just extends our life here. The cards in hand that don't really counter, so we are mostly just looking for either 2Ks off of life, or we're looking for triggers, and we're gonna see that this turn here is one of those pivotal turns where if my opponent does not find the lethal swings here, then we are going to punish them on the crackback. So it's do or die for Zoro at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're going in with everything.
And you can sense that, right, with the 7K Marco swing. And we're going to pick up a card that does not counter. So now that's a huge boost in confidence when the first two don't counter. The last one here is stranded. And we do not see a counter there either or trigger. So that is just a large Zoro swing here.
Coming across, hopefully you weren't randomly baiting me.
No
here,
blockers. And we now get a quick look at what the life was, and we're going to go back to the booth. Yeah, I mean, Zoro there really just catching them when they fall, right? So It is the great punish. Like, hey, I am playing so many searchers in my deck. I'm Zoro. I'm not going to stumble, but you might. And if you do, I'm there to beat that ass. Like, we're going in.
I think the interesting question here is, had you played this match with Katakuri instead of Linlin, do you feel like that would be any different for you on that side?
Well, I certainly get to look at your life a bit more, possibly my own more aggressively. Yeah, I do actually think that, even if I had taken a line to let myself drop to 3 and I could have spent a couple of turns manipulating the top of my life, I think that might have also helped.
Sure.
There were a couple of different lines that I was considering taking. You don't really know, but ultimately I think what felt really most bad about that matchup was lacking the top end.
Yeah, definitely that was the biggest problem, I think.
Yeah, because I did see the 10 drop, but it was like moments after you establish your blocker, and it's just like, well, now nothing's really going to get through anymore. So yeah, the 10 drop is like a consolation prize, but you definitely lost. So yeah, unfortunate. But a very well-played Zoro deck. All right, guys, that is it for this video. Thanks so much. If you're still watching, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. By the way, guys, just want to let you know, we have been going live a ton lately, and if you have not caught our live streams, it is a blast. We go for maybe 3 to 5 hours playing 1 deck, 2 deck, whatever you guys request, doesn't matter. Our most recent video was a starter Big Mom Gauntlet, where we played that versus basically everything in the entire meta, and boy, starter Big Mom actually does feel kind of good. So if that interests you, and you haven't already seen our live streams, consider subscribing to the channel so that when we go live, you get that notification on your phone, and you're there for the party. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Good night.